Hey everybody, it's Brewer. I'm going to tie a really quick and easy fly for you right now. If you don't know how to tie it, you probably should. They don't always hold up super great, but they can be really great fish catchers, especially here in the winter on a lot of our creeks and rivers around here. I mean, it's just a really hard fly to beat a lot of the time, especially in combination with the betas or something. A lot of you may not like it, but I am going to do the Squirmy Wormy today. So first, I start with a number 12 jig hook and a 3.5 millimeter tungsten bead. I like to tie these heavier. And then I'm actually even going to put some lead on this one, just so I can get it down really deep for the spot that I'm going to be fishing, in some faster, quick water. I like to tie a lot of these in a bunch of different sizes and a bunch of different weights, because then you can kind of adjust. You don't have to use split shot that way, and then you can just adjust the amount of weight you have on there. So instead of having one with lead and a 3.0 bead, you can tie one with just a 3.0, and then you could do this is 3.5, and then go down to just a 3.0, and then do a 3.0 with lead, and then do just a 2.5, and then a 2.5 with lead, and then you can really fine tune the depths that you're fishing, especially if you're going to be tight lining with this fly. You can really fine tune the depth that you're fishing and the amount of contact that you have with the bottom. And you can tie it on you can put a big 4.5 bead on the front of this too and really weigh it down if you're fishing really heavy, quick water. Some lead on the hook, red thread. It doesn't really matter too much. I've tied this with black and whatever, and just kind of whatever you have laying on your desk. Fish don't seem to care terribly much, but I figured I have red line here, so might as well use it. My tail, I use my vise for, so I like, if you can see, it comes to like right about there on my vise, so that's probably almost an inch long tail. You don't want it too long, but at the same time, if you make it long now, and you're getting a lot of fish nipping the tail while you're fishing, or you pull in and you're like, man, I'm getting tons of strikes, and your tail's all chewed up, just cut it a little bit shorter. Don't go too crazy, but while you're fishing, just give it that little trim. So I'd rather tie them long, and if I'm missing fish, I'll cut it shorter, and sometimes that can be my trick, but I like more motion and more action down there and a bigger bug, so if you even want to call it that. So one of the keys to this is I'm going to make very loose wraps here at the back of the fly. 3 very loose wraps, right where I ended my hook, right above where the barb would be on my hook. Very, very loose. It's hard to see, I know, but not pulling down yet. Okay, so now I've got 3 loose wraps. I like to take both of my ends of the squirmy material and not tighten it down all the way, but just firm it down on the hook. And then now you've got your squirmy here, trapped underneath 3 very loose wraps. And if you lift and kind of loosen up your thread, you can kind of see where those wraps meet the hook shank. I like to not secure the squirmy, but secure the actual thread, those 3 wraps, tie over top of those pieces of thread that are holding down your squirmy, that are in between the Squirmy Wormy material and the hook shank. So now we're not pinching down on the squirmy too hard, so it's not going to cut it. It didn't torque our tail to either side. It's sitting nice, perfect, right on top of the hook, just like that. And then, just really make sure, I don't think you can overdo it really right here. Tie those in, and then just take your thread all the way up to the hook. Sometimes I just cover up that lead a little bit with some red, just so it doesn't show through quite as easily. And then real easy, just apply pressure. Nice and firm here. And we'll just work it up the hook shank until you touch the bead. I got 4 or 5 wraps there, maybe even 6 on some. Pinch it on top. Make sure you're applying pressure when you tie this in, or else it is more likely to come undone faster. Sometimes these flies, if you leave them in a hot fly box or something, they will come undone. And if you do them too tight, they'll pop in a hot box. But if you leave them kind of like this, kind of right in the middle, that sweet spot, they're less likely to come untied. But too easy to tie to not just have a bunch of them or tie a couple every time you go out. It just depends on how you tie, but whip finish it. I mean, a super easy fly, as you guys just saw. I like to fish it in conjunction with small stuff this time of year. You know, like I just tied a France fly. I don't know what order Dan will post these in, but I just tied this France fly here. And if you fish this France fly in combination with a Squirmy Wormy, I mean, if I had to go to a new trout fishery somewhere in the U.S., those would be probably my starting 2 flies anywhere I go for trout, whether they're stocked or wild, or it's a techie Spring Creek or a big wild freestone like the Yellowstone. I mean, it's hard to not at least catch a fish on one of these flies. And so, you know, hopefully some of those tips can help you guys get out there, tie a bunch of these, different weights, different sizes, different lengths. You can do them in red, pink, tan, you know, purple, all kinds of crazy stuff. Those are my favorites, but they sell the materials in glow, and which could be good if you're tying ice fishing jigs. Wink, wink. And so just get out there, tie some of these, tie some France flies, and enjoy. Thanks, guys.